This is the Dallas Morning News.
Eat, Drink, DFW from the Dallas Morning News is made possible by Central Market.
North Texas food fans, it's time for another episode of Eat, Drink, DFW from the Dallas Morning News. Every week, our food staff loves to dig into the local restaurant scene, talk about food and drink trends, and those things that make North Texas, North Texas. This is Anna Butler, the News's new food and events editor and your new podcast host. Like many of our listeners, part of our team are transplants to North Texas. So we're talking about what food things have helped make Dallas-Fort Worth home. We'll also be diving into what is believed to be the region's most expensive restaurant build-out and more. So stick around, you won't want to miss this.
Central Market is really into food. Like when we say cheese, it's in 12 languages into food. Butchers, bakers, and sushi roll makers into food. We're talking so obsessive about quality you can shop blindfolded into food. Central Market is really into food. If you are too, then let us turn your shopping list into a treasure map. Get inspired, get adventurous, or just get a chef-made dinner when you've got more taste buds than time. No place makes every meal more amazing like Central Market. Really into food. Shop now at centralmarket.com.
And we're back. For the latest food and restaurant news, visit dallasnews.com/food. And tell us what you think about our coverage at eatdrink@dallasnews.com. Today, I am once again joined by our fabulous food writers, Sarah Blaskovich, Claire Baller, and Imelda Garcia. Hi, guys.
Hey. Hi, Anna.
Today, I really wanted to dive into a topic that's hot for North Texas, and that's transplants to the area. We have a soaring population. It's expected to grow by millions. That's with an S by 2050. And I moved here 9 years ago in October, and I feel like I've seen a huge change already. Our DMN food team is 75% transplants, with Sarah being our outlier to help us, keep straight, know what's going on in Dallas.
Gotcha.
But, Imelda, I wanted to start with you and touch on where you're from and what you miss being here in Dallas, but also where you found new restaurants and dishes that feel like home.
This is a good question, Anna. So I was born in LA, but I was there for a very little time. Then I moved to Mexico City, and there I met good food. Because, as you know, we are full of flavors, a lot of cultures in Mexico, and a lot of street food and good restaurants. So, yeah, I really miss a lot of the food in Mexico City. But I also live in Tijuana for 5 years. So Tijuana it's in the corner of Mexico, with California, in the border with California, and they have great food. Over there, I was in my 20s, so that's where I began to pay for food, and yeah, and I can choose my food. And then I discovered all this Baja style food, the shrimp tacos, all the fusion with the steak and the lobster, and this langosta to the Baja style that is with butter and tortillas de harina, flour tortillas, and it was like, what is this? I mean, it was so strange to me, but the best tacos of my life, I ate them on Tijuana. They were these birria tacos with salsa, but they were so special. I don't know why, but they were the best tacos of my life. And then back in Mexico City, I got back in my late 20s, and then I paid for my food over there too. So I discovered a lot of great places over there, and yeah, I miss a lot of them. So when I was with friends and everything, there was this place over Paseo de la Reforma in the heart of Mexico City. It's called Salon Corona. They have good tacos, a lot of beer. It was amazing, great tacos. They have Sonora Grill, these amazing meat cuts with a lot of Sonoran style that I know Claire knows what
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
talking about. So it's really good. Uh, we had El Cardenal with chilaquiles and all the good Mexican food. There is a restaurant. It's property of Carlos Slim, one of the most richest guys in the world, and it's called Sanborns. It's a really casual restaurant where you can dine for a fair amount of money. I mean, it's good. And over there, I miss the enchiladas suizas. So as you can see, these are like really difficult dishes to find here in Dallas. But it's not that bad, you know? I mean, there are good places here, and even when you cook at home, these Mexican dishes and everything. I don't know. There's something missing. I don't know what. Maybe it's the
Wait,
ingredients.
so even for you, cooking for yourself, like trying to replicate things that you miss from Mexico City, it doesn't quite taste the same, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know why. Maybe it's the ingredients. Maybe the chiles are not that spicy. I don't know. Something is happening. But we try to make that at home to make that happen. But yeah, here are some good places. For example, there are a lot of good taquerias here. Birria, and we have. I discovered Tex-Mex, and for my enchiladas, it's good. I mean, I think we have great places. We can do better, of course, but on in time, I think this will be like growing, And I've been here for 5 years, and I have seen a change in these 5 years. A lot of good places, and more affordable, and more not. A lot of people know of these places, and what I love the most is a lot of cultures are trying Mexican food, and I love that because as I'm trying another people's food, I love when people try our food and love them. So I love this place. I love all of this. What about you, Claire?
Well, I'm curious, are you seeing more regionally focused Mexican cuisine in DFW? Because obviously that's one thing that I think we miss by the scope of Mexican dining in the United States usually is that it's kind of this homogenous thing of Mexican food. But Mexican food is it's so different depending on where you are in Mexico, right? It seems to me just very anecdotally like we are starting to see things get a little bit more regional, a little bit more hyper focused. But are you seeing that, do you think?
Yeah, I think so because, as you say, uh, a lot of people think in Mexican food as one block, and it's not like that. If you go to the south, you will find Oaxacan mole and I don't know things like that. If you go to the north, you're gonna see carne asada. If you go to the Pacific, you're gonna see tacos de camarón. So it's very, very. It changes, as you say, region by region, and I think this is great here because a lot of people here they bring their food to and they open places to fill out a self necessity, of food of their places. So they are trying to show people what do they eat in their city or in the town. And I think these little places that you see more than a chain restaurant, it's always the little places that will give you the right flavor and the original flavor. And I love that.
There are two things that you said that I really loved. The first one is when I started paying myself.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
so true though, especially with a first job or something like that, when you suddenly are like, okay, I now have dedicated funds, especially if you love food, to be like, am I going to save my money to go have that experience? Or if this is what I'm eating every day, what is it going to be? And then the second thing is just the idea of cooking at home. Even if you had every single ingredient that you wanted and the way that you wanted it to be, it's never going to be the same as if someone else cooked it for you. We just talk about this in my family all the time. My mom has like has a thicker accent. And she would always say, if someone else cut a grapefruit for her, she'd say, "It always tastes better when someone else does it."
All
And
right.
it's
No.
true.
Yeah,
And
it's true.
because it's funny, because even like the simplest thing, a grapefruit should not taste different if someone else cuts it. That is in and of itself not something you're adding something
Mhm.
to, but it's almost the idea of like you can't give yourself a back massage. I think food's kind of the
Yeah.
same way. Like there's something that even if you cooked it exactly the way you had it growing up, it's still different when someone else makes it for you.
Yeah, we call that el sazón. It's el sazón. It's like the personal touch that you give to food. And I don't know, my mom's soup is never going to be the same as I did it. Even if I follow the same steps, it tastes really different. And I think this sazón in Mexico we say this sazón is the love you put in the food. So yeah, it's very different person to person. It's fascinating that.
Yeah, it's also funny when you touch on the regional thing because you're like, I was exposed to Tex-Mex, and the thing I think I miss being in Dallas versus Austin is actually regional Tex-Mex,
Hmm.
which is really funny because Austin Tex-Mex is different than Dallas. And so I've found places, and they actually say it on the menu, Austin style Tex-Mex on a lot of the menus here, which is really funny to me. Just like a quick list probably is Casita on Blackwell,
Mhm.
Desperados on Greenville, El Vecino on Buckner. Taco joint definitely has more like Austin style breakfast tacos to me.
Mhm.
They remind me of a place called Taco Shack. And then the queso at Katy Trail Ice House is the texture of queso, even if you didn't get it fully loaded with the great brisket and all of that stuff in it. That's what I want because it's also a little bit more, I guess, almost like a Matt's El Rancho or other things like that. But those are the things. But it's also not to say that I don't appreciate Dallas Tex Mex,
Yeah.
but there are some differences there. But I feel like you kind of have something similar, Claire.
Yeah, definitely. For me, growing up in Arizona, the Mexican food that I was exposed to is very different than what we have here.
Yeah.
And I was not prepared for that when I moved here. I thought that the food would feel very familiar and similar here in Texas, but it does not and has not. Um, the Mexican food in Arizona is very influenced by Sonoran cuisine,
Ooh.
and I miss that dearly. I did recently have a little baby experience that felt somewhat similar to having Mexican food back home. I went to the taco stand, which is in Uptown. This is a chain restaurant from San Diego, I believe.
Yes, and you.
And so that wasn't surprising that that feels familiar because, Arizona's a weird place. It just is. It's a weird state. But it's
The lack of time zone. No, let me say that again. The what's that called?
daylight savings.
Yeah, the daylight savings time thing about Arizona makes it its own unique thing, even outside of all the other things you might think are
For
weird.
sure, for sure.
Outside of space and time.
Yes. But in Arizona, you have, like I said, that influence from Northern Mexican cuisine, which is to me so beautiful and simple. And then you also have the influence from Southern California, Imelda, like you were talking about Baja style
Yeah.
food. And I don't really see or experience either of those here in North Texas.
Yeah.
But at the taco stand, I did have a bean burrito the other week that made me feel like I was back home. Like the tortilla just kind of hit the same, like similar to what I had growing up. And that was a quick little nostalgic moment for me. But otherwise, the food is really, really different than what I grew up with and what I seek out when I go back to visit family in Arizona.
Sarah, I really want to hear from you too, because just because you're from the area doesn't mean that you don't have those tastes of home still. So I want to know what those are like. Okay, you've had a long day and you want to go get a dish that just kind of feels cozy, or you want to introduce someone to the area. I mean, what are those for you?
Yes, I love this question because I didn't come from a family who thought a lot about food, even though I grew up here. And now me and my whole family thinks so much about food. And as you all can relate to, if someone comes to visit you here in Dallas, which is now your home, um, it's a pretty large responsibility to show them what Dallas food is, especially if you're a food reporter for the Dallas Morning News, right? So, like, I think about this so much. I think North Texas has categories of classic food. And as I put them down to paper, I realized, and I'm sorry, everybody, that it has a lot to do with different kinds of meat. So, we have burgers, fajitas, steak, and barbecue. Those are kind of like four major food groups, I would say. Now, anybody listening, the suggestion is not that we don't have good salads here or that, you can't eat vegan or vegetarian. But when I think of classic Dallas food, I think burgers, fajitas, steak, and barbecue. Um, and so if you pull each of those apart, everybody has a favorite burger place. Mine is Keller's, and we've talked about that. But um, other acceptable answers include Goff's, Burger House, Adair's, Darriette, of course, and many of these other wonderful burger places. And not to mention the expensive $20 burgers that you can find at every upscale American restaurant around the town. But to me, it's those down home burger places that really feel like Dallas. When it comes to fajitas, which I would call kind of expensive Tex-Mex. I think we do that pretty well here at many places. Two places specifically come to mind, and that would be Javier's and Las Palmas. Javier's being a long time, like I think they're about 45 years old. Las Palmas being a much newer school version of a bit of a similar menu. Of course, we've got a bunch of wonderful steak restaurants, Albernays, Nick and Sam's, Bob's. all named for Dallas people, two of which, Albernays and Bob's, are named for the guy who ran them. Nick and Sam's were named for the toddler children from the two original owners of that restaurant. And I think those, there are lots of great steakhouses in Dallas now. And hopefully in a minute we can talk about Nuri Steakhouse, which is a left turn from the traditional Dallas steakhouse, but feels so very current in Dallas right now. And then the last thing I'd say is barbecue. And we all know that I deeply love barbecue. I eat barbecue as sport in this town. Some of my favorite places are the newer spots: Cadillac Barbecue, Hurtado in Arlington, Terry Black's, of course, in Deep Ellum, Hutchins and McKinney in Frisco, Zaval is in Grand Prairie. But if you look back in Dallas history, and I love to look back at Dallas food history, barbecue goes back a long, long way, with Dickey's Barbecue at Knox Henderson being one of our oldest restaurants, period. And a fun fact about that is that Dickey's, where it is right now, is where it was. So it was built there before Central Expressway was put in, which is like a really fun Wayback Machine thing. Big Al Smokehouse is just about to turn 50 years old. Sonny Bryan's is a little over 65 years old. So we eat a lot of burgers, fajitas, steak, and barbecue when we entertain people in Dallas, but it has also become sort of like the fabric of what I think of when I think of dinner in general.
Yeah, you just mentioned this one, and it's one I'm dying to talk about. You reported on it too. It's called Nuri Steakhouse, and it is believed to be the most expensive restaurant build out in North Texas history, which is crazy. I think you did the math on it, and there are some factors into the math, but $1,600 a foot for this restaurant. That
Yeah.
is absolutely insane.
It is absolutely insane. That's right. The math goes like this. It was about a $16 million build out, which is how we often do the math on what a restaurant would cost a foot. If you've ever built a house, we did a couple years ago, you also often calculate how much money you're going to spend per square foot for a home. And I think $1,600 a foot for a custom home would be a heck of a lot of money, you guys. So for a restaurant, it's even more. Nuri Steakhouse is just under 10,000 square feet. So at $16 million build out, that's a little over 1,600 a foot. Now, the owner, who is the CEO of Smoothie King, told me that the whole thing costs about 20 million bucks, because not included in that 16 million is $150,000 worth of silk wallpaper in just one private dining room. There's a jade fireplace. There is the tile on the floor is, instead of buying tile like everybody does, they picked slabs of marble and had the tile cut out of those slabs. So
Obviously.
I know, right? So each tile piece was custom cut, but it was also custom cut from an expensive and hand selected piece of rock, which is just, but also between the 16 million and 20 million would be the china that is more than 100 years old, sourced from Korea, and the 6,000 bottles of wine, which there are so many that there are some you can't even see in the basement, and the uniforms that they wear, which look really nice. So there's just massive costs. So if you were to take that $20 million number and look at it relative to the 9,500 square feet, we're looking at $2,100 a foot.
Wow.
For Nuri Steakhouse. Now, if anybody, if I haven't lost you yet, this restaurant is in Uptown. It's on Maple Avenue, and is really beautiful. And it's gotta be, right? I mean, 20 million bucks for a steakhouse, which is a number I've never heard. Never, never. And I ask these nosy questions of everybody. It has to look great, and it does. It is a really beautiful place. And the thing that restaurant owners keep bringing up to me is, how will this CEO of Smoothie King ever make his money back on 20 million bucks? And the answer is, he doesn't need to. He's got lots of it. And this is a rare restaurant that wasn't built to make money.
So just for fun, 20 million.
Just for funsies.
Just like that. Wow.
Okay. Any favorite dishes that you were able to sample? Because I would love to know, if someone goes to Nuri, what are they supposed to order?
Yeah. So, yes, the tartare, they have two kinds of tartare, an east and a west. And I should explain that CEO Won Kim was born and raised in South Korea, and he moved to the US in 2012 to be CEO of Smoothie King, which was then based in New Orleans. So he lived in Korea for most of his life. He moved to New Orleans for 5-ish years, and then he moved from New Orleans to Dallas. So the tartare, there's an east and a west, both raw beef mixed with, one's with a regular chicken egg and one is with a quail or a duck egg. And then one has some egg noodles in it. The other has the typical capers and anchovies. So if you like tartare but want to take it two different ways, you can get those two on the same plate, which is cool. There are two kinds of gumbo, one which I would call a pretty typical Louisiana style gumbo, and another which is a Korean gumbo, which is a play on a dish from the war where, and this happens with every culture, people would take anything they had and put it in a pot and kind of stew it down and eat soup made out of whatever they had. And so this is an upscale version of that Korean stew,
Mm.
which they call a gumbo. So there are dishes like that that are interesting. Maybe not what you might expect from a super glammy steakhouse. Of course, there are lots of cuts of meat. Anybody who really wants to spend should get different cuts of the akaushi. And you can even compare Australian, American, and a couple other kinds. I mean, that would be cool for people who love beef to do that. Um, this is a place where you would go celebrate. You would get the expensive bottle of wine if you can afford it, and you would get a fancy cut of meat. But it doesn't read to me like a place that's out of reach. I think that if, most people who are celebrating a birthday or an anniversary want to go and have dinner, I think, a couple times a year, if you save up, this is a place that isn't as expensive as some of the other expensive restaurants in town. Like I think you could spend less than I did at Carbone for two people.
That's really interesting
Yeah.
to me. I'm fascinated to. I will definitely try it eventually. One of the things we wanted to leave time for today was to get to one of our Ask, Eat, Drink DFW questions. And Claire is kind of our quarterback fielding those questions. And this question maybe couldn't be more different in terms of opulence, but based off of what Sarah said, it's kind of the tangibility aspect. But we're talking about everyday tangibility with this one. What was the question that we got, Claire?
We actually got a few questions. I've heard from a few people who are looking for not your Nuri Steakhouse type of place to eat at, who are kind of feeling the crunch right now of just how expensive it can be to dine out, even for meals that you go into not expecting to spend all that much, and you walk out, spending 100+ bucks for a weeknight dinner. And so I'll read you guys two of the questions I got. First one is from Cynthia. She says, it feels like you can't eat out anymore without dropping 150 a couple. And the concepts are so fancy these days. I don't want to have to get all glammed up on a random Tuesday night. During the week, I want a casual spot where I can get a nice meal for around $50 and feel comfortable walking in dressed in casual attire. Help. Another question came from Carrie. She said, as someone who eats out way too much, where can you get the best food, bang for your buck, at full service sit down restaurants that serve quality food? So this, I think is probably representative of a lot of people right now who are feeling that way of like you don't want to sacrifice on quality. You want to have a good meal, but you don't need all the fanfare and all the opulence. And so I wanted to ask you guys, when I read these questions, I thought this is perfect to bring to the group. We can kind of brainstorm and give people some options. So where would you guys point people to for a good casual meal that doesn't sacrifice on good food?
Mine are really simple. Don't forget about tacos, right? Tacos are a good night out all nights. And they are so satisfying and so cheap. And I think one good option for this is La Salsa Verde. They have some spots in DFW, and some of them has a table and you can sit. Some of them are just to go, but I think it's a great option if you have family and you are looking for something really, really savory, and you're gonna spend a little money and you will get a lot of food, and that food will be good. It's gonna be good for you. So tacos is my best recommendation. And then I think another one, it's if you are in a casual night, I mean, with your family, maybe you can go to La Bodega, and maybe get some rotisserie chicken and some sides, and you have a very good meal at a very affordable price. So yeah.
Those are
So
great recommendations.
I was going to say on the taco train, one of my favorite deals is Tacos y Vino, where you can get a bottle of wine and 6
Mm,
tacos,
yeah.
and it's just a set price, and it's a very quality something. I already mentioned Desperados on Greenville, but I am one of 5 kids. People have gotten married, they've had their own kids. Our family has expanded. That is one of the places that my mom feels very comfortable going to with all of us there. It's
Yeah.
sit down, it's quality. Um, on the same kid train, these are not sit down dine-in restaurants, which I know is what we were asked about, but man, bang for your buck. Palmer's in Lakewood, it's a hot chicken place. You don't have to get it hot though, but the portion sizes are so generous. So I can go with one other person. We split a $14 like half chicken and 2 sides,
Hmm.
and that's
Yeah.
enough food, or there's leftovers. The other one is the cowboy chicken family meals that you can take away.
Hmm.
Those are pretty solid choices too, just if you need like that family dinner.
Sarah, what about you?
Love this question from Cynthia and Carrie because I'm also feeling, ooh, that tightness. We eat in restaurants a lot. My whole family of 4 does. And so I this is so good that you can find a story about this on dallasnews.com/food that we all contributed to. So I just want to say thanks to them for the good idea for a story. I'll tell you 2 that are on this list. Wabi House. There's one in
You
Dallas.
stole one of mine.
Oh,
That's
was
a
that
good
on your
one.
list?
Yeah.
That's good. You know
Yeah.
what? Anna stole. I had Desperados. I'm so sorry. Don't. This is proof that
No,
they're
this
good
is
ones.
this is validating.
Yes, Wabi House. There are restaurants in East Dallas, Fort Worth, and Frisco. There's exactly one order from me, and it is the $13 dry garlic. This is ramen noodles without the broth in it. The ramen there is incredible too. I get the dry garlic. It has dashi butter, seaweed, cucumbers, poached egg, and chashu, which is pork belly. I swap the pork belly for minced pork, and sometimes I add mushrooms, and it is possibly the most perfect bowl. For $13, you could split it. I do not. I get my own. My kids really like their chicken karage, which is fried chicken. It comes with watermelon on it, and it's $7. Both of my
Wow.
kids can share one of those for $7, or if we're feeling generous, we'll get them each their own. So I love Wabi House, and there are lots of them in DFW to where if you're in one of those 3 cities, it's probably accessible to you. A second place I'll mention is all you can eat fancy pizza. So this is DeLuca Gaucho Pizza and Wine. They have restaurants in Dallas, Fort Worth, Irving, Plano, and Southlake. Here's how it goes: $25.95 per person for 5 courses of food, and the courses are endless. So those 5 courses are an arugula salad, lobster bisque, Kobe beef meatballs, and then they bring around little slices of pizza, and they have both adventurous and not adventurous kinds of pizza. And then the 5th course is dessert pizzas. I love this place, both at DeLuca and at Wabi House. You don't need a reservation because I think that's important to mention. Claire, you wrote a great story about how hard dinner reservations are to get in Dallas, and you even explained how to get the hard ones. But I think what Cynthia and Carrie are also asking us is, how can I not spend that much money? And what if I decide to go there 15 minutes before I get there? Can I even go? And so at all of the places that we've mentioned, you don't need that reservation. It's huge.
Yep.
These are great answers, and I hope they gave some ideas to Cynthia and Carrie and the dozens, I'm sure, of other people out there who are wondering the same thing. So thanks, guys. As Sarah said, we have pulled all of this together and have it in a story online, so that can be read online too. And we have some additional ones in there that we haven't talked about here today. So check that out at dallasnews.com/food.
And that is all the time we have for Eat Drink DFW this week. We appreciate you tuning in, and we do want to hear from you. So again, you can reach us anytime via email at eatdrink@dallasnews.com to share your food thoughts and questions. The show is produced by Billy Kidd. To catch up on every episode of this show and hear more from our newsroom, just follow the Dallas Morning News wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like what you hear, please rate the show and leave a review. Find links to all of our work at dallasnews.com/listen. You'll also find a special membership offer there just for listeners. For the news, I'm Anna Butler. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you all again next week.
Eat, Drink DFW from the Dallas Morning News is made possible by Central Market.